Welcome to Harry Potter and the Anxious Millennials, a show where we delve week by week into each chapter of the Harry Potter series. Welcome back. Hello.
Welcome back to you as well, Adam. Hello, RJ in the background. I hope you are well. Cute PJs.
How are you? It's been 3 days since I've seen you.
Oh, yeah, because we just saw each other on Wednesday. I'm good. Michael and I are going out for dinner tonight because we will both be working, or he's working. We're working separately on Monday, and then we're working like the days after that. So there just won't be any time to do that. So after this, I'm
Monday
going
is
getting
Valentine's Day.
Yes, Valentine's Day. And also Khaleesi's birthday.
Well, blessings to Khaleesi.
Oh, she was in here, but now she left, so she's not in here. But yes, thank you. How are you? Do you guys have Valentine's Day plans?
Well, our tradition is to eat Cheesecake Factory.
Love it.
So we probably are getting Cheesecake Factory to go because right now I currently live like 4 blocks from a Cheesecake Factory. So it's
very
not hard
close.
I mean, it is close, but we haven't like had Cheesecake Factory since we moved back to Chicago, which is like kind of surprising. But
well, you guys have a lot of good restaurants around where you live, so I'd imagine you'd be trying various other places because when you go to Cheesecake Factory, you know what, you have a regular thing you get, the regular samplers.
Even though they have a 60-page menu, there's still like 3 items that I know that I like.
Wild. Well, enough chit chat. Let's get into this. Let's get into the house elves of it all.
Enough fiddle faddle.
Enough fiddle faddle.
So this week we read chapter 8 called The Quidditch World Cup. Ari, what happens in this chapter?
I wonder. To be fair, we have gotten back to the Burrow. So to clarify, the Quidditch World Cup does occur in this chapter, listeners.
It's true.
So
it is true.
Don't worry.
It's not the lead up to the Quidditch World Cup.
There was a part of me that I was like, wait, it's been a while since I've read this. So I was like, does it happen in this chapter? I was like, I think so. And I looked at the time because I always listen to the audiobook and it was 36 minutes. So I was like, okay, that's a little bit longer. So I was like, it's probably the Quidditch World Cup chapter. I was like, okay, yeah.
And the next chapter is called The Dark Mark. So it's definitely not that chapter.
Definitely not. At that point, it has to have happened.
What if every chapter in this book was like the title was what's coming the chapter after?
So the chapter starts off with they're heading to the match. So they're like all like jittering with excitement. Everyone's like vibrating with joy, which once again, everyone's going to get so tired of me saying this, but like us on our way to the BTS concert, like 100%. We are not sports 100%. People, but I know exactly what this feels like in my body when you're like,
well, and also the last
like
time
you can see.
The last time I was in a stadium, we're famously recording this the day before the Super Bowl, which is happening at SoFi Stadium. The last time I was in a stadium was for a BTS concert, so this is the only kind of.
Yeah.
I also just don't have sports feelings in this way, but I have feelings about other things that are similar to how people feel about sports.
Yeah, like growing up living in South Bend, obviously there's Notre Dame, so like the entire town is taken over by the football games every weekend. Anytime there's a football game, the entire town just like, and
South Bend just has, and I'm not trying to like shit on South Bend, but like, it's not like a booming metropolis where there's just other things you can find to do outside of be sucked in by the world of Notre Dame.
Now I think there is, but because there's been some like revamping of South Bend, gentrification. And just in terms of like the downtown areas, like all those streets that used to be more neighborhood like streets and stuff like that, now it's like the restaurants that we went to that one time with Allie and like stuff like that, like in that area. I don't remember that area being like that at all. like the bike trails next to the river and things like that. Like all that happened like while we were in the process of getting ready to go to college, and then just continued to like Eddy Street Commons. But that is specifically Notre Dame.
That's very Notre Dame specific.
Yeah. But yeah, so other than going to the Notre Dame football games growing up, like, which was just much more of like us, we were going for like social reasons rather than like really being invested in the game. I do understand that. I understand how it's like everyone's a buzz, everyone's excited. The sports part, I'm like, I don't, whatever. So then as they're walking up to their seats, Mr. Weasley's explaining like, oh, there's muggle repelling charms over every inch of this place. And I was like, okay, so they just forget. They remember something they forgot. That's
or
what
just
happens.
like is like, did I leave the gas on? And then they have to like go back.
Yeah.
It's very that energy. But
yeah.
I feel like last week I was like, why didn't they do this for the campsite?
Yeah.
Because I said, I was like, they do it for Hogwarts. Why don't they do it for the campsite? And they did. They just only did it at the pitch and not like also that area.
Why didn't
also
they?
The pitch seats,
Joe?
It seats 100,000 people and SoFi seats 70,000, just to put it in perspective for us. You know, since you and I were recently there.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I'm just saying, we're just saying, you know, there are more people there to see BTS.
We're just saying. And you know, we're just
Quidditch World Cup.
saying that.
Just saying, just letting you know. So they find their box. The lady's like, go up as far as you can go, all the way to the tippity top.
No, that pissed me off.
Oh,
I was
really?
Like, could you? Well, not that they had the highest box. That I have a question about.
Like, why?
But more that they had to like take stairs. I was like,
oh, right.
Because you know this has got to be like 18 stories.
Why didn't they just take? Why isn't there a magical lift?
Why isn't there like a broom example that just does this?
She's like, oh, you just
well, because remember we've talked about this before. We've talked about this before because in Pottermore, Joe's like, well, Muggle ailments don't exist. Remember? She like that was like a thing that we talked about. She was like, Muggle ailments don't really exist, but that's why they're magical ailments instead. Fine, whatever. You remember this? We kind of talked about it a little bit. Because we did a whole running bit on there being like, why are there no students in like wheelchairs?
Oh, yeah. She was just like, that's not a thing.
Yeah. So we'll just keep that in your little mind because I have a question about it in like 5 minutes.
Okay.
But just keep that in the back of your mind.
Okay, I'll just make a note. Make a mental note.
Make a mental note.
So they get to their box, so the top box is the highest box is the best seat. Doesn't that seem kind of backwards? I'm like, but you're the farthest away.
But it's played in the air, I guess.
Don't you want to be like, once again, when we went to see BTS, everyone's going to hate me, but I'm sorry. When we went to see BTS, Halsey, her box was like, you know, right
behind
above
us.
VIP, where we had better seats than
Halsey
to see BTS.
Grammy-nominated artist Halsey.
Yes, incredible. Featured in Boy with Love. So I have some questions about that. I'm like, why is that seen as the best seat, though? That seems so backwards.
Because I truly have to think it's only because it's played in the air. That's the only reason I can think.
Okay.
But like, if it can be played anywhere in the air, how do you know that they're going to be playing on like your plane?
So is it, maybe I'm imagining it like this? Is it just like that? Like the seats are just like on top of each other. So you're all just standing like on, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I know in the movie is not, the movie Quidditch pitch is not what she had in mind. I remember that being like a thing that it's like different. Cause I think the Quidditch pitch in the thing, in the books, I think are like classic bleacher stadium seating. But I guess if it's really steep, you can like kind of stack them
Yeah.
Instead of like that's more like this.
Because it wasn't even like the at Hogwarts, the way the Quidditch pitch is set up, where they have like those big towers all around.
Right.
Like it wasn't even. That's not how this is described.
No.
So I was like, what is it? Maybe that I was kind of confused by that.
It's not visually described very well. She kind of is just like, there's just a stadium and there's lots of people, and you're in the top box. So whatever that means for your brain, enjoy.
Yeah. So that makes me think of my first thought, because she's English, is a soccer pitch. You know? And that is set up. So I don't know. I don't really know. But anyway, they're in the
everybody's
top
got
box.
Omnioculars anyway, so they can zoom in everywhere.
Which, like, so they have no screens. There's no magical screen.
But they have a magical blackboard, which I thought was fun and a little gag. Yes, I liked that it was specifically a blackboard.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I liked that bit too.
It's Talk Zone.
It's very charming. They get to their box, and Harry sees a small creature who is very familiar. And he literally blurts out, Dobby? And then obviously it's not Dobby. And the house elf named Winky looks up.
Hi, Winky.
And here we are. We're about to get into the Winky of it all.
Well, so this is when Winky, we really get into the like
problematic house elf nonsense.
Oh my God.
So I would like to say a listener who lives in the UK messaged me on Instagram a while back and made the point. She was like, I had never thought of it as a comparison to slavery. I very much thought about it as when the servants, instead of like being housed by
Downton Abbey.
Exactly. She was like, Downton Abbey, downstairs, upstairs, downstairs. Like, and I was like, oh yeah. And I was like, and I was like, yeah, I'm sure that could totally be what she was thinking of. And she was, the listener said, obviously, because we're in America, she was like, I totally see, why. Growing up in a country where slavery is very prominent, that's what we would think of.
I think it's the thing of like, they don't work for them. They are owned by them. I think that's why it feels so like if there was like thing.
I agree with that.
If there was a way she had described it where it did seem more like indentured servitude than like maybe, but it truly just does feel like slavery.
Well, they don't. Even the way that Winky is talking about this. Like, she's like, we don't have fun. We don't do that. Like, and it's just, we're not even at the layer of like how it's so really like not. Cringe to read. We're not even at the layer of how like the general wizarding public is like fine with it, which is a whole other thing, which like, there's so many layers to this, right? Like it's a, you can really compare it to the white moderates being like, oh, that's terrible. But then like not actually doing anything to make things better. You know what I mean? Like people that would just say, oh, that's
I'm literally.
Yeah, you looked frozen. So there's like a lot of layers that like we'll probably end up addressing as this book goes on with like the multiple problematic moments that it's just like, why did she want to do this? Because it's like from the beginning, Winky is like, I don't think you did him a favor by setting him free.
Right.
That's like the first thing she says.
Because house elves don't speak that directly, but yes.
But she was like, it was pretty much that though. It was just like, I don't think you weren't doing him a favor, sirs, by setting Dobby free, by giving Dobby his freedom or something like that.
Couched in politeness. Yeah.
And then he was like, what?
I'm not going to look at it.
Which like, same Harry. Like I'd be like, huh? That video of what's that one?
Huh? What? Oh.
Okay. I think the thing for me that sucks about it is like this is the second house elf we're meeting. First of all, we meet 3.
Total.
We meet 3 in the series. Like truly meet
like
three to get to know them.
Yeah.
I think there are like a few extra others in Hogwarts that we meet. But I understand that she was like, well, this character has to be different from the Dobby. Fine. I understand that. That makes sense. And I don't think it's like a bad thing, especially if we're like saying, if we're giving her the benefit of the doubt and saying like, because this is a thing that comes up on Downton Abbey, upstairs, downstairs, every show like this, every UK show like this, which is like, there's like there's like 6 people who work for the rich people. 3 of them want better lives, and 3 of them are like, this is our duty and we are happy to serve. So I get that, like, that's the dynamic she's playing with. I totally understand that. I think it would feel less icky if it didn't also seem like she was still being abused. Like maybe if she had like a great life and like she had a very loving family that took care of her, like it would be like, oh, well, I guess it could be different depending on like who you. But even she still totally makes it seem like she's like, I'm being forced into this situation that I truly cannot stand because it's
I'm doing it.
Right.
Because I'm good.
That's what sucks.
And this is and it's also like because I do what I'm told because I'm a good girl vibe too, which I was like, ick. I was just like, no.
I didn't love that she says this thing where she's like, she makes it seem like Dobby's being so crazy. He's having a lot of fun. He's being so crazy. And he wants to get paid. He wants a new job where he gets paid.
Yeah. Which Harry's like, yeah. He should.
And then And then immediately she's like, but he could be taken in front of the Department for Regulation and Control of Magical Creatures. And I was like, is it that he's being crazy or is it that he wants money? And that's why. What's happening? What's going on in the wizarding world?
This is a good example, too, of like, this is back to the whole thing, too, of like the blurred line between like a creature and like a being. Because I'm like, I would not say a house elf is a creature because it very much has like a sense of awareness, clearly is like as intelligent as human beings are. So it's just like, ick. Like, what is that?
Yeah,
it's really, it makes me really uncomfortable, and this
chapter is
totally
called ick.
Give me the ick. I totally agree because I've heard Michael talk about it too, like just like the classism and like that it is still so prevalent in the UK and that it's like a huge thing. But racism is also a thing in the UK in a different way than it is here. But like the UK still contributed to slavery in their own way.
Right.
With what was happening here in America. So it's like, it's all connected. It's the same thing if like you hear about the terrible things that happened to like the Aboriginals in Australia. Just any of the actual native people in these lands that were colonized, you know?
Indigenous peoples of,
of the entire world. So it's just weird. Like I'm like, because we already have a classism layer, right? We already do.
Yeah.
Ron and Ron's family versus Malfoy's family. Like it's already there. Yeah. So
and like just purebloods versus, well, I guess that's more xenophobia. If you wanna say like the wizarding world accepting new people, that's more xenophobia. But
what I will say,
I don't know. She's already doing it. I don't think. What is this?
This is what
I don't need this.
I was just about to say. What I will say is I don't know. I know for a fact. She was not trying to be super intentional with this, which makes it worse. That's the problem. That it's like this like weird mucky gray area that I'm like, girl, you're trying to like make this into a thing that like is revealing things I don't think you want to be revealing. It's just weird. It's a weird thing. And I remember
and I think the worst part is like the fact that we get Winky later in this book and it gets like real dark and real tragic. And like, I think that if it was just this and then we never see Winky again, I guess maybe that could be interesting because like it's such a brief thing.
Sad.
It's so sad and it gets so much worse.
I remember being younger and I just like the main thing that I thought of was just that like Dobby was right and I couldn't understand how everyone was Just like thinking like the fact that everyone thought Dobby was like crazy or whatever, like, and that no one was supporting Hermione when she starts spew. Like, I just remember always being like, what is wrong with everyone else? Like, that was just always how I felt about it. But are you supposed to? Did people ever read it and be like, silly Dobby?
I truly have no idea.
Okay. Just like question because for the ether.
I mean, when I read these books, I was not intelligent enough to pick up on these themes as like a child, other than like the obvious like pure blood and mudblood thing. Like that's like the most clear allegory of a real world thing. But this, I feel like especially once we get into spew, I just was like, I didn't care because I could tell it had nothing to do with the plot. And I just wanted to finish the book.
You were like,
that
why?
I was like,
yeah.
But they do the way she writes, and from as far as I remember, obviously it's been so long, but like as far as I remember, the way she writes, like how everybody reacts to Hermione doing it, isn't just that they don't want to participate. It's like that they think it's like a joke.
Yes.
Which like is going to be worse. Now, it's going to be real hard when I get to that.
Exactly. No, I was just going to say that literally maybe like ever since I was a child, I have had very intense empathy. Like not in the sense of like, oh, I'm so empathetic, but I'm saying like in an overwhelming way. Like I'm saying it is like, it was very difficult. So that literally could have been what was happening for me, that I was like, these elves are like not free and like no one cares. And like, what, like, do you know what I mean? Where everyone else probably was like, whatever. Just like, why is she talking about this so much?
She also had Dobby say Dobby is free, not like Dobby is, I don't know. Something, it does feel, I don't know. Okay. Speaking of classism, I'm not on Lucius Malfoy's side. I just want to say that before I say this.
You are a Draco apologist. Where is this going?
Arthur works in a division of the Ministry of Magic that we can assume just by general understanding of the wizarding world, as they don't really care about Muggle anything, is probably not a very important branch of the Ministry of Magic.
Right.
There are supposedly like 20 seats in this box.
Okay.
Arthur Weasley has 10 of them. How did this happen? Whose dick is sucking?
Wait. Do you think are you saying because they're sitting together? Or you're just talking about the Weasley seats in general, not what it has to do with the Malfoys?
Not really what it has to do with the Malfoys. I only brought the Malfoys up because he asked the question, how did you get
I was distracted by that. I was like, wait, what's the link to the Malfoys? I mean, I think Ludo Bagman, maybe, you know what? Ludo Bagman doesn't have any friends. So
I guess it could be it.
Arthur. Hey, Arthur.
He got them from Ludo.
Yeah. Ludo hooked them up.
I feel like here's what
Arthur
I think.
did a favor for Ludo. Like did a little cover up.
I think like she already used the thing of like the Weasleys got this like favor, or they won a thing for book 3. Like she already used that plot line. So she couldn't do it. It can't be like the Weasleys are poor, but they have the greatest luck in the world. Every year they're getting a new thing. And then you find out at the end of book 7 that they're running like this whole Ponzi scheme in the background.
Don't go in the garage out back, Harry. Don't
go out there. My cousin Vinny will
that's just my plug collection. That's all that is.
So yeah, I didn't. That's the only thing. It didn't really bump me, but I was just like, that's how I felt about it.
You were like, how? I was imagining a lot of boxes, I guess, like around the stadium in my head. So it's like everyone kind of like, if you've seen, I can't tell you this because you haven't seen Ted Lasso, but there's like the people, you know, like the owner of the team, like they get to sit in the box, and like it looks like there's boxes like all over because it's a UK football team, and it looks like there's like boxes, you know, that whatever, people that have connections, people that have a lot of money, like that they get to fill.
Like
so I
the
think
VIP
that
boxes at SoFi Stadium.
Yeah, it's SoFi. Yeah, you know that our section, our section,
the VIP.
Yes. But that's what I imagined. I imagined that like even though it is like special exciting seats, there's like a lot of boxes. So to the Weasleys, it's like this huge thing, but Ludo's kind of like, this is just like my regular seats. Like this is just where I sit. So you're welcome, I guess.
Yeah, I guess maybe I wouldn't have been as bumped as if it had seemed like she didn't even have to do it in the previous books, but like even like in the way that she could have written like Ludo and Arthur to be like friends or something. Like, it just seems like they just met each other at work the other day, and he was like, "Do you want to come?" Sit in the box with the Minister of Magic.
I hate when this happens in books and in movies where they're like, oh, so-and-so that I've known my entire life or like for the past 8 years. And you're like, there was a whole season, a whole 3 books where no one mentioned Ludo.
A single person.
Not even in passing.
Yeah. Not a bagman in sight.
And I understand to a degree, like no author can do that, but I'm like, just make like a character map and then like have these names that you've like referenced so you can just kind of like pull from them. Someone recommend me a book where the author does that from the beginning. I will be so impressed.
Because what if at the end, because he mentions that the Quidditch World Cup is happening in... She mentions the end of book 3. Yeah. So what if like Ron's like, my dad's friend at work is the head of magical games and sports, Ludo Bagman. Then I would have no problems with this whatsoever.
Yeah, I agree.
Much better.
Much better. Yeah. So speaking of this box, we're in the box. They have this very like uncomfortable exchange with Winky.
Yeah.
Where she keeps kind of pointedly looking at the empty space beside her. So just remember that for later.
Yeah.
And then Fudge, the Minister of Magic, the one and only, shows up with the Bulgarian minister who doesn't speak English. I'm sorry.
Okay. Wait.
You knew for however long that there was going to be a Bulgarian Minister of Magic with you. Why, if you yourself definitely could have learned, would it just be Bulgarian? What's the
Bulgarian
language? Okay. Mm-hmm. You yourself should just have learned like a little bit of Bulgarian.
Goodbye.
Just take a second or have a translator there. Plan ahead.
You don't need Barty Crouch to be the translator for everything. You can just have someone who's like a Percy level person who's translating.
Right. So that was really bizarre to me. And I was like, I know she did it because she wanted the funny laugh of like, he's miming everything. But I was like, girl, we don't get that long enough for that to be. He should have had a translator. I was like, no, I don't like this. I don't like it.
This could be our longest episode ever because I have another question.
Okay.
In this world, are we saying that the Minister of Magic, we're about to head into like some English-Irish divisional stuff right now.
Sure.
Are we saying that
I had the same thought.
The English Minister of Magic is also in charge of Ireland because there's no...
Ireland is a completely separate country.
It's a completely separate country. And
they would not be happy about this.
Yeah, there have been many issues in the past. I couldn't tell if it was that or if it was just like he was there because it's the host nation. Fine. I don't have a problem with that. But then there should be the Irish president or whoever is the equivalent for Ireland up in the box.
Yeah. Yeah. That was weird.
So I was very upset that there was no Irish president. I guess they could be in another box.
It was so weird. That was really weird. But then why?
I don't buy it. It
was weird. Why is he with the Bulgarian Minister of Magic?
Hello.
It's weird. The Bulgarian Minister of Magic should be with the Irish Prime Minister then. I don't know. That was very weird. After the Bulgarian minister and Fudge get there, then the Malfoys show up, which is like awkward. And as Harry reminds us, the last time that Lucius and Arthur were together, they had a fight. And I was like, Harry, you know these two? Well, okay, I don't know how much Lucius goes to the ministry, but the way that Fudge talks about him, it feels like he's making visits to the ministry pretty often just because, he's a trust fund baby. And
Harry's
like,
assuming that they have not seen each other in 2 years.
I know. Harry's like, they've only seen each other when I've been around, obviously. I was like, Harry, you don't know if they've seen each other or not. Yeah, Narcissa, who has a very unpleasant look on her face.
Would you like to see the photo of everybody in the box?
Oh, yes.
So the front row is entirely the Weasley family. This is what made me realize. I was like, they are taking a lot of space in this box.
They really are.
Here's
which
what
the Malfoys are like.
That's Harry. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
He's watching through his omnoculars.
Hermione.
That's Ron in the shamrock hat.
Yeah.
I think this is Ginny. I don't know. These are the twins. That's Arthur. This is motherfucking Charlie. Look at this hot slice of
bring
beef.
it. Oh yeah! Wow. And then that's Bill bending over because his ponytail.
And then that's Bill bending over.
Yeah, Charlie's a babe.
We can go on. I'm so sorry.
Who would have known that we unlocked another love interest for Adam in this book? I thought it was going to be
incredible.
Just Crumb, but we've got Crumb and Charlie.
Well, movie Crumb is very different than is described.
Right, there is no Charlie in this
Crumb.
universe, in the film universe. So
yeah.
So they're all in the box. That image does look like a very small box. And then I would 100% assume that like Ludo just doesn't have any friends. He literally just like Arthur, my friend, my buddy from the elevators. Like I don't know. It was just like something like that.
We use the same toilet to get to the ministry.
Right. It was just like, I don't know how else. I don't know. But Ludo himself comes up into the box and was like, already? Huh? Are you ready? Like, what? It was so weird. Can you imagine that? Like, the announcer of a game comes into your box and makes eye contact with you and is like, ready? All set? All good to go? Like, what? I'd be like, huh? Like, who are you talking to?
Well, are you like... They're not running this off of like a specific time. They're just like, does everybody feel good about it? No. Everybody feel ready?
Everyone ready? Anyone need to use the loo? Like, what if I was like, I need to run to the bathroom real quick. Oh, okay, I'll wait.
So sorry, I have to poop.
Let me get a number 2 out first, and then we can go, okay?
Yeah. I'm prairie dogging. Give me just a minute.
Thanks for the seats. I'll be right back. Oh my gosh. So he was like, ready, all ready to go. And then everyone's like, yeah. What else are we going to say? And then he's like, all right.
Are we all ready for this 5-minute game, which is how it's described in my brain?
I'm not. It might not even be that long. It might not even be that long, listeners. So I'm so sorry. I was like, as I was listening to it, I was like, should I be taking notes of like every exchange that she? Okay. No, I was like, I didn't. So, So he starts announcing essentially like the pre-show. I have some questions here. And of course, they're all basically about the Veela. I am a bisexual woman. So what happens to me when I see the Veela?
Sure.
Is it only
which you've never
men?
seen because they're a mythical creature.
Yeah. Which I never will. And I'll never see one.
I'll never see one.
I'll never see one. I'm like, what do they...
I forgot.
So it's a spell that they put just on the men. This is also a part that gives me the ick. Like, I'm like, this is also problematic, Joe. What are you doing? It's weird.
I forgot that the Veela were the Bulgarian thing because I remember just associating them with Fleur, who's very obviously French. So I was like, in my head, I think just over the course of many years, I was like, oh, it's just her fill-in for like French sexuality. No, they're Bulgarian. I don't know, whatever that means.
Yeah.
But I like, in one respect, I like that it's the men's turn of like being like goo goo gaga over somebody, whereas like the women already had this with like Gilderoy Lockhart. She like referenced multiple times. Like the girls were like,
for women it's Gilderoy. For men it's a mythical creature called a Veela.
This is why men are so hard to please.
This is what I'm saying though, and I'm just like, okay, well, Joe, what? You later tell us that Albus Dumbledore is gay, but like then you're doing crap like this where it's just so clearly. Also, like,
if I was there, what would I just be like? Yeah, slay.
Yeah, you're right. We would be like, yes, queen, go. Bitch, you better work, girl. You better go. Like, it's just like going off, throwing singles.
Yeah. It just
what would happen with you? That's a great point.
Heterosexual men turn into like horn dogs, and gays just become gayer. And they're like,
or you like sit there and you're like, oh, like what if you're a man that's not out? Are you like, oh, yeah, really doing it for me?
I'm gonna jump out of this box. I'm so turned on.
Do you reveal yourself to be a bisexual woman if you're like what happens? I just like don't understand. I'm like,
Hermione is very clearly not bisexual.
Of course, no. Hermione, very heteronormative.
Hetero, honey, hetero.
And Ron is beside himself when the Veelas start performing, so he's also very heteronormative. So is this confirmation that Harry is bi? Because he doesn't lose his shit. Mr. Weasley is Mr. Weasley. Well, he did. He tried to jump off, but the way that
he tried to jump out of the highest box.
What I'm saying is the way she described Ron made it, and also the way that Ron is like so obsessed with Fleur in this book, it makes it seem like Ron is like the weaker out of them, because of course she does that because Harry's
he's more base,
the golden boy. But and then Mr. Weasley, kind of like is able to keep it together. So Molly,
a fully qualified man.
This is it. Arthur Weasley and Ludo are having a gay affair, and that's why he's not affected by the Veela.
There we go.
This is why we have never heard about Ludo.
Because Molly knows they have an open arrangement in their marriage because he's bisexual and she is heterosexual, and she's like,
no, I think she's bi too. I think they both, they're like swingers.
Everybody's bi. They're all pan. Everybody's pan.
They're all pan.
I'm attracted to energy. I'm attracted to energy.
I believe it. Yeah. So yeah, they have a very open relationship. He is, Ludo is his. What would you say? A partner? Would you describe that as a partner if you have like a significant other outside of your marriage? I don't know anyone that has like
a unicorn
partner outside.
A third.
A third. Okay, yeah, his third. That's our canon.
My mom is learning a lot in today's episode.
Hey, Nan. Oh, I miss Nancy. I hope you're doing well, Nancy. I miss ya. So yeah, they start the pre-show. The Veela are dancing. Harry almost jumps into off his like balcony box into the stadium floor. And Hermione's like, honestly, which like agreed. Hermione, he literally would have died. And then Ron is like shredding his hat, his little boutonniere.
Like the shamrocks on his hat.
Yeah, he's like shredding the shamrocks on his hat. And then his dad's like, you might want to stop doing that because, you know, the Irishman, or I shouldn't say Irishman, the Irish mascots are about to perform. There could be female leprechauns. We don't know. So then the leprechauns appear. Leprechaunas. Leprechaunas. Lepra queens.
Leper queens.
Lepra queens instead of leprechauns. Lepra queens.
I got it.
Adam was not impressed. Listeners, please write to me and tell me if you liked my lepra queens. I'm a lepra queen. So the leprechauns and lepra queens, I'll never not say it now, start showering everyone with the gold. And then Ron's like, hey, now you have to buy me a Christmas present because I have all this gold that I'm giving you. Another thing, listeners, to, you know, just like make a mental note about that in your head. And then we go through the game. Right? Was there something else I was going to say about? Go ahead.
Well, the players come out and then they start.
Right. Yes. And one of the players, if the listeners don't know, my fiance's last name is Ryan, and there was the keeper on the Irish team was Ryan. So there's a Ryan on the team, one of our relatives. Could have been me. I'm going to become Ariana Ryan. It's me.
Yeah, we don't know if how many are men or women.
There's one moment where they mention one of the keepers. Is it like they said, like she did this or she did that? And I was like, oh, okay, so co-ed. I was like, it is a co-ed team. I like that.
But then aren't there like all girls specific teams?
Yeah, the holy-headed harpies.
Oh yeah, the harpies. I don't know. The shrews and the harpies, yeah.
Right. I don't know.
God.
I don't know, but
Fine.
I do remember when he said she did. I was like, "Oh, there's at least one woman on this team. I think on the Irish team."
So they start watching the game, right? Mm-hmm. And Harry is watching through his omnioculars.
Yes.
Omnioculars. And he's like so intensely watching them, he's like driving them into his eyes, which is like pushing his glasses back into his face. And then I had the realization that I was like, why does Harry have why does anybody who's a wizard have glasses? If they can cure
magical ailments,
Muggle
ailments don't exist.
Why?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that wear, a lot of witches and wizards that wear glasses in this universe. So
yeah,
you can regrow bones. You can regrow bones in an arm.
But yeah. Wait, I'm sorry. Wait,
if we impaired vision.
That's what I'm saying. So like, at this point, Muggles have figured out a way through surgery to literally correct eyesight with LASIK surgery, and wizards are just like, I don't know, get 2 pieces of glass and call it a day. I don't know.
Oh my God. And Harry never updates his prescription. So we are to believe.
No, he doesn't go to an optometrist.
Harry Potter, his prescription stays the same for all 7 of these books? No.
Well, you know he doesn't go to a dentist because he's British.
Michael has better teeth than me, so be careful.
Michael has great teeth.
Like perfect teeth.
That's a very tired joke. I shouldn't have said that. That's been done too much.
Adam and I are getting back to the game because we've been talking about something else. The match is happening. We're going through kind of I'm assuming Harry's perspective of like what he's seeing. He mentions that like the Irish team is working in tandem in a way that he's like never seen before. But then also Crumb is like the most fascinating player to watch. Which like it does. I mean, it sounds really cool. I will say, as someone that isn't especially a sports person, the way that she describes all of this, like it's very, I'm very invested in this moment.
It's the best description of a Quidditch game in this series.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Period.
Yeah. The only thing that I have a little bit of a note on is, which might be more of an editor thing, is that it felt like we got a lot of like, this was the best thing Harry had ever seen. This was the most interesting thing Harry had ever seen. This was the second to next best thing. It was a lot of like, he had never seen this before. And he had also never seen like it was, which
in regards to things Harry had seen, this was the best.
But then this next moment was also the best. Like I was like, okay, we get it that like Harry's super excited about this, but maybe that's how it feels, that it's just like, it just keeps getting better. You know, you're like, wow, I can't, because up until this point, other than literally like surviving Lord Voldemort, Harry is like, the thing that he's really good at is Quidditch. So like this really is like his entire world, what he's kind of witnessing happen right now. There is a part of me that I'm like, Harry really never wanted to pursue becoming an actual Quidditch player.
That's what bums me out about the end of the series now as an adult. I wanted him to. Yeah.
That he didn't. Yeah, I'm like, Harry could have been what's the
Little Bagman.
Puddlemere United Seeker.
Puddlemere United.
Puddlemere United Seeker. Harry, you missed out. Wilborn Wasp, Seeker. Yeah, we're going through the game. She's kind of mentioning, you know, the back and forth of what's going on. She's also mentioning that the Veela and the Leprechauns are kind of having a face-off of their own down there. And the one moment that I really do want to mention is just the part where the referee gets roped in by the Veela. I really like that moment.
Yeah, it's great. Like, it's very fun.
Like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, and then he gets mad at them. He's like, you need to leave. You made me embarrass myself. Off you go. I was like, no, that's not how this works. So then the beaters are like mad at him that he's trying to get the Veelas to go off. And then there's like, one of the Veela sets the referee's broom on fire. The leprechauns like are flipping the bird. Like it's just like chaos, which I really liked. Wild. That it was. Yeah, I was like, wow, there's a lot going on, and yeah, it would be hard to like, you know what to look at. And
well, I think the reason I like this Quidditch match so much is because there's so much, because of the added like mascots. Like there's so much extra that she can like talk about as just supposed to like. Just the ball match being passed around. Yeah.
Right. And then there's a moment where it looks like Crumb is going for the snitch, but it's just a fake out, and he like does the Wronski feint. No G.
Sure.
Wronski feint, and pulls out of the dive really quick, which like, didn't Harry pull this move? I think it should be called the Potter feint. I'm sorry.
I thought it was like, I thought he does it. Does he do it in the book, or did he just do it in the movie? I had a question like that too, but then I was like, maybe that was just a movie thing that they did.
Yeah, maybe it was just the movie. Okay. But yeah, Crumb pulls the Wronski feint, and what was his last name? Aiden Lynch. Aiden Lynch. Lynch, the Irish Seeker.
Jane Lynch.
Literally, Jane Lynch from Glee.
The Seeker of the Irish team.
Lynch just literally like plummets into the ground, which my mother is a psychologist. So I grew up getting a lot of information about brain injuries. I had to wear a helmet anytime I was out on a bicycle in Midwestern Indiana. I learned a lot about brain injuries from a young age and how serious they were. This guy has to have a concussion.
Oh, he died later that night for sure. For sure.
He hits the ground twice in the. That was kind of what I was like. This is, and like I think maybe you and I have talked about this with football, American football, of like the concussions that they get, just how it's like, it's really upsetting. Like, it's just really scary that they just like kind of shrug it off. And I'm like, no, that's brain damage. Like, you are never the same again. Not just from a concussion, to be clear. I don't want to scare anyone, but like if you have reoccurring brain damage incidents, like
that's how Bob
what
Saget
happened
died.
to Lynch. Oh, really? Was that he had like brain injury?
They just came out with like the autopsy results basically, and he like had hit his head that night and had a brain bleed and then went to bed and just never woke up.
That's terrible.
So there's a line, Ginny's very worried about Lynch after the Ronsky faint.
No.
And Charlie's consoling her, and he says, he'll be okay. He only got plowed. It's about me. I was the one who got plowed. And it's true, I will be okay. I'm always okay.
And I'll be fine. I can take it. Take it like a champ.
I do. Thank you so much.
So not only does this happen to Lynch once, but twice. And also Crumb gets hit in the face by a bludger, right? I'm so sorry, guys. I don't remember. He has a nose. Yeah. He has a terrible nosebleed.
Bludger to the face.
And of course the referee doesn't see this because this is precisely when his broom is on fire. So everyone's very upset that, you know, they're not stopping the game because Crumb is having a nosebleed and can't see. Lynch is diving for the snitch that he's seen. The crowd is very upset that Crumb is, you know, in the state that he is. But Crumb's like, well, whatever. I have to try and get the snitch, which he does. And the Weasley twins called it. Crumb gets the snitch, but Ireland
Potter-esque fashion, he gets the snitch.
Yes, very similar to Harry.
There have to be normal ways that people catch the snitch. I feel like every match we play, it's like, like he just catches it. Everything is always this like huge climax, and I'm like,
once again,
some people just catch the snitch.
When they let the snitch out of the little thing, just like literally keep your eyes locked on it. And then as soon as they blow the whistle, go after the snitch. That's what I would do.
It's supposed to be it's like a hummingbird. Like it's so fast, like you can't watch it.
I watch hummingbirds all the time. I can track a hummingbird, no problem.
Honey,
I've got my little bird feeder up there.
So hummingbird Lee.
I need to be the seeker for the Wilborn wasps, okay?
Yeah. No, you're on the shrews.
Right. Holy-headed harpies. Obviously.
The British bitches.
Yeah, British bitches. So yes, Ireland wins. They come up into the box, which I was like, this is the moment that BTS came around on the little trolley.
Yeah, on the little truck. Yeah.
When I could not stop staring at Jimin. I'm convinced Namjoon and I made eye contact for 1 second. Adam's laughing at me, but I know it happened. So they come into the box. It's very exciting. Crumb is all bloody.
Gross.
Lynch is like out of it, which made me really upset. I'm just saying,
she's gonna die.
If there are no Muggle ailments, I hope there is also not brain damage, because that was very upsetting to me to hear that it was like this funny thing of him being like, hey, I was like, no, not funny. I was like, get him some help. So that was very sad. I was like, no. And then the Bulgarian minister is like, well, we fought bravely. And Fudge is like, the fuck? Did you just speak English? And he was like, Which I was like, I like this moment. I like the Bulgarian minister being like, you didn't learn any Bulgarian? Well, fine. I'm going to make you mime around all day. I was like, good for you. And then he was like, well, it was funny that you were miming. I liked it. So that was very nice. And
it doesn't work for me. It's a little
you don't
stupid,
like it?
But it's fine. It's just it's like very children's book, that moment, I think. I have two things to say. One is that there are two spells we learn in this chapter: sonorous, which makes your voice, or sonorous, which makes your voice super loud. And then the reverse, which is quietus. No, I'm going to say no to that one. That's not good. Quietus.
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 Sonorous. Beautiful.
So anyway, what do you guys think of the game? And then the other thing is, if I was a wizard and I paid a wild amount of galleons to be at this game, to be at this campsite, boopity bop, to buy this tent, to do the thing, to get here, and
The
this
whole
game
shebang.
lasts 5 minutes, do you know how fucking mad I would be? I don't care which team I like. I would be like,
I don't care who won.
It's like when people go like ride like Flight of Passage at Animal Kingdom and they're like, it was 4 minutes. I mean, it was great, but it was 4 minutes. It's like,
You're like, yeah, you waited for 3 hours, huh? Sorry.
Yeah. Can't watch it on TV. They don't have TV. I don't know.
No. Yeah.
We gotta figure something out. We gotta
person.
figure something out, guys.
Oh, I forgot to mention that Ludo Bagman pays up to Fred and George.
Supposedly.
Just to keep that in the back of your head, listeners. And yeah, that's it. That's the chapter.
Next week, we'll be reading chapter 9 called The Dark Mark.
Spooky.
So it's about to get very spooky. You can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you find your podcasts, as well as video versions, entire video episodes on the Ampliverse's YouTube channel. As always, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so that we can get a perfect Newt score. 5 stars only, or else you'll suffer permanent brain damage. Okay, hold on. I'll do this one. Okay. 5 stars only, or else you'll get plowed too.
Or else you'll also be plowed.
Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at HPAnxious, Instagram at HPAnxious, and please follow, like us, subscribe to the Ampliverse's YouTube channel.
Please.
We are hosted on Anchor and recorded on Zencaster, so thank you to them both. And we are a proud member of the Ampliverse. Check them out at theampliverse.com. Thank you, Ariana.
Thanks, Adam.
And as always, quietus.
No.